Yeah, all right, guys. So it's an update on, might be my, is it my fifth over the board game that I played last night? It's against Sheffield Nomads, away at the Sheffield Trades and Labour Club. So I have the black pieces. My opponent opens with d4, and I play the Englund Gambit, looking for the Charlick. Now after the game, I'll just slip in some of the comments as we go. After the game, he said he hates to see this. So he actually pushes on, which is already slightly better for black. Now apparently, so I've got lines and eval open here. Apparently the best move here is knight to f6, immediately putting pressure on the pawn and developing a piece. I've traditionally played the most common move, which is bishop c5. Bishop c5 wins 53% for black, which actually is more winning than knight to f6. That's at highish levels. The idea is obviously, you know, you're not going to be able to push this pawn all the way to d5. It's going to end up on d6, and therefore you're going to have a dark squared pawn chain. So you want this bishop outside of that pawn chain. Makes sense. He responds with c4. Again, not great. And now I push d6 immediately. Computer says f5 slightly better, but d6 is fine. So I'm feeling relatively comfortable at this point. He now pushes e4, really solidifying this wedge in the center. Apologies, because everyone's kung fu fighting behind me. If they're not sleeping, they're rioting, basically. All right, so f5. I decide to strike out. f5 is actually the best move in this position. Right? f5 is very typical for me. I want to undermine his center. I want to get the central majority. I want to be able to develop my bishop for free. And he plays out his knight to c3. I play out the opposite knight to f6. Okay, so here it's minus 1.1 for black. And the best move apparently is e takes f5. And then bishop g5. He plays bishop d3. It's now minus 2. I don't like this move. He didn't like this move. He didn't want to play this move at all. And here I'm thinking what to do. You know, could I, for example, push on and try and lock in this bishop? Okay. The machine says actually knight g4, eyeing down on f2, is the best move. It's minus 1.8. Next best is castles, and fe is also an option. Now, I don't think I even considered this idea. So I was just thinking principle. And that really is just typical of this game. It's really, really odd. So I play f takes e, and that's minus 1. Knight takes, bishop takes. And now, from this bishop being in a really horrible position, crammed in by its own pawns, this bishop is now improved. Okay, I now short castle, and it's down to basically equal, right? He should now play queen h5 here with an immediate, you know, attacking idea. If he plays knight f3, which is the most common move, black wins 60% of the time from there. He does play knight f3. And now the best move is knight d7. So I was already thinking, I want to get my knight to d7 to f6 and challenge this bishop. Right? That is my idea. And I think over the next few moves, and I've got the sheets here and I marked on the time. So move 9, I've used 4 minutes so far out of 75 minutes. Okay, because it all seemed very, very natural from this point. But like I say, you know, I didn't even consider this idea, which I should have considered, for example. Okay, and I make the next couple of moves within a minute. So I now play bishop g4, pinning the knight on the queen. Okay, it's very natural. It's the second best move. Knight d7 was better, but I thought let's get the bishop out first, and then I want to do this. I want to remove that bishop, and then I want to go attacking my opponent, because I've got good lines towards f2, but the knight's in the way. Okay, he castles. Black again is slightly better. Now knight d7. Okay, and this is when we get to the critical point of the game. My opponent, so the most common moves here are h3 to kick the bishop, okay, and then queen d3. h3 is not great. He plays h3, and I play bishop h5, okay. Black actually wins 58% versus 25% from this position. It's only 24 games played. He doesn't really want to be pushing g4. That's not great, but it is actually the best move, actually. It's actually the best move. He doesn't do that. He plays queen b3, and it's gone back to -1.5 in black's favour. Right, and this is the critical point. So he's attacking a pawn. The only move that's been played from this position was actually knight to f6, the immediate knight to f6. I play my rook to b8, and it's gone from -1.3 to +1.5. And this is critical. Right? So I'm looking at the pawn. It's not maybe the most critical pawn in the world. Yeah, I have got options. The best move here, according to the machine, is to take out the knight. Okay, bishop takes, and then queen h4 to here. Right? Forget about Billy the Beeple. h6 is also slightly better for black. Right? Knight f6 is equal, but this is worse. Okay, now my opponent plays bishop to e3. This is move 13. Yeah, so I play the next 3 moves within the space of a minute. Okay, but basically, I just break one of my own, it's not even mine, it's one of the most basic things. What is my opponent thinking? What is my opponent trying to do? And the other thing is, what is the evilest thing my opponent can do from here? Now, I definitely recommend that you pause here, decide what move you would make, right? And write it down if you wish. So all I'm really looking at is the tension between these bishops. Okay. Now, if he wants to take me, I could take with the knight with tempo on the queen, developing. Also defending b7. Okay, that's fine. That's not too bad. Okay. If I move my knight to here to attack this bishop, that recapture isn't on, but I can still recapture with the pawn. Okay. So this tension is not really critical, but there's something about the longer time format makes me tend to play over cautiously, right? So what I did was drop my bishop back to b6, and it's now plus 2.2 if my opponent finds the right move here. And what is my opponent trying to do? Okay, the point of bringing this bishop out here, yeah, it was to challenge my bishop. He didn't like the pin on the pawn there, right? But in actual fact, he's setting something up as well, you know, so that his queen could come over to this side. Now, what I completely missed was this guy. This guy that I helped to improve with my f5 push, yeah? And I released him from his little cage here. This guy's looking at h7. And I thought this knight was just like stuck there. It's in a defensive role. I think overall, I just thought my opponent is playing a bit passively. And I was feeling overconfident. You know, I was looking around the room, looking at other people's boards, what's going on. And yeah, for some reason, I didn't expect him to come and attack me. And the best move here, well, pause if you need to, but there's one best move for white. So it would constitute a great move. I actually put an exclamation mark on my notes for it, knight to g5. I see this move and I go, oh, damn. He's got knight e6 with a fork on queen and rook, and there's nothing defending that square. Moreover, he's got a pawn defending it, okay? And that's the point that I stopped thinking. I drop my bishop back to f7 so that if his knight comes in there, I can capture it. Then it'll weaken this pawn, I'll probably win the pawn and, you know, be all right. But I completely missed that knight on g5 also attacks this, because I haven't even looked at this fact. Now, had this been in 2D on screen, I'd have probably been absolutely fine. But it's now +4 with bishop takes h7 check. This is forced. Bishop retreats, which is not the best move. Actually, dropping this bishop back is what it says is best. This bishop back to, no, and then this bishop back to c1, just getting out of this alignment. Interesting. And then third move, rook a, e1. But he drops this one back anyway. Okay, it's +2.5. I trade off here, and now in comes the queen. So, I develop my knight, and this is now +5. Okay, knight out to here. So, what am I trying to do with this? I have to defend this square. My concern is that the queen's going to come here or here, and then dive in with mate, supported by bishop and knight. Okay, so knight to there. The best move apparently is bishop g8 to defend that square. That's very interesting. Okay, bishop g8's okay. I live to fight another day. This is not good. Now he throws out f4, and suddenly this guy that I thought was in a really passive mood and, you know, is going to be a bit of a walkover as long as I just played solid, he's just coming, you know, going for blood. I capture the pawn, queen takes, he had rook takes, queen takes is better, and now I'm just in desperate mode here. My bishop's under attack, so queen d7 defends the bishop, queen comes across to check, this is pretty much forced, or completely forced, and now rook takes knight. And it's going to end in a few moves, whatever happens really from this point. I can't take the rook with my pawn, because queen h7 is mate. So I play bishop to here to defend this, also attacking that one. Right, there's only a few more moves. He takes it. Now again, I can't take... Oh, hang on, because my bishop's defending that. Maybe I could have taken here. Yeah, in fact, rook takes f8 is playable because my bishop does defend that square. I thought if rook takes, then that was mate. Goes to show. So different in 3D. I take with the king. Best move here is actually bishop takes bishop. He plays rook to e1, cutting off these squares from my king, which is setting up this idea. Here again, I should... Actually, bishop h7 is the best move, but it's going to be mate in 5 at most, whatever happens. I bring my bishop back here so that I can slot it into g8 and defend, and it'll block. Queen comes in anyway, I block, and then he finds... I'd seen this, attacking the pin piece, and then we shake hands and it's all over. And I finished with 56 minutes on the clock. So I played all of that in 19 minutes. He finished with 45 minutes on the clock. And that's it. But yeah, lessons from this quite dramatic loss. I mean, you know, don't get cocky is one thing for sure, right? I'm in a very good position at this point. Okay, so in fact, he put his bishop in this prison after I played f5. I thought before the game, I'm going to try and consider every possible move, and I simply didn't. I didn't look at this, right, which had been quite forcing. And you know what's interesting as well? I'm going to pull up my my profile on chess.com just now. Okay, and we'll look at. So yesterday I played a shitload of blitz games, right? Now this game that I just analysed, I think when I ran it in the chess.com, it came out with 52 accuracy, right? 52 accuracy at a classical format. Look at my blitz that I played yesterday. Okay, I had a win in 2 there, that doesn't count, right? 80, 63, 58, I lost 50 there, right? 59, 96.6 accuracy, right? 76, 60. and a 93 here. On average, I'm performing much better in 5-minute blitz than I did in that particular game. And I think it's because I've been training myself into playing very aggressively, you know, playing fast, playing hard, calculating quickly. And there was something about it slowing down and being, you know, with atoms instead of bits. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Something just went horribly wrong. But what it's made me think is like, okay, you know, online blitz is great, but am I training myself to think at the wrong speed? You know, we just don't know. So what I'm thinking I may need to do is follow my own advice, go back to playing exclusively longer time formats. I've really enjoyed getting up to, you know, my 1500 now in blitz. So it's the same, yeah, 1502 in blitz, 1531 in rapid right now. I might even think about getting a connected physical board so that I can play games, but with real pieces, and train myself into that 3D thinking rather than the 2D thinking, because it's just not translated too well in this instance. Another thing as well is that, yes, it's played, you know, 7:30 in the evening, and I don't tend to play chess in the evening because I'm not so good in the evening. I'm better in the morning. But there you go. So yeah, I mean, people like to hear about the online games. Got a few photos of the event. So yeah, I mean, I'm still enjoying it. It's a new type of challenge. All of this is a learning experience, so I welcome it. You know, you can learn a lot more from your losses than you can from your wins, so it's all good. But yeah, certainly stuff for me to work on, so there you go. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. Please subscribe to Chess Bootcamp if you haven't subscribed. I'll see you soon.